Miles and I have known each other since we were two because our parents are best friends. Now, I wouldn't say Miles is my best friend. He is a good friend, and we do hang out on occasion. However, we see each other during all major holidays because of our parents. We are in our early 20s. The problem started because of a dumb childhood memory. When we were 8, we had a wedding play at school after care. I played the bride and Miles played the groom. It was a play with horrible songs and uncoordinated kids. Our parents made pictures and videos of that, and we each have one picture on our family picture walls. Miles is dating Lindy. They met 3 years ago and started dating last year. Lindy does not like me, so every time we coincide at a celebration, she makes a comment about me being the typical girl best friend. She once said that I secretly wanted to sleep with Miles. I have no clue where she got that impression from. Miles and I have different friend groups and schedules, and besides our monthly catch-up over food, we don't really meet that much. Things got worse when Lindy saw the wedding play picture. The comments just escalated. She even started ming me on Instagram, saying she knew what game I was playing. I talked to Miles about this once, and he told me to give her time. His birthday was on Saturday, and I was invited. Lindy wrote to me, saying something along the lines of her supervising me. This was their first birthday as a couple, and I was not allowed to take up his time. I was honestly just fed up. I tried talking to Miles once more, but he said the same thing, so I just skipped out. When the party started, I sent a quick message saying, "Sorry, I can't come," and told him my mother was going to bring his present. Now he is upset with me for missing his birthday. Lindy is mad that I made it all about myself. I didn't show anyone the messages because I didn't want to make more out of this than it is I didn't want to poison anyone against Lindy especially. That would make both our lives more difficult. I hoped that just talking about it might be the more adult thing to do. My parents are not mad at me or blowing up my phone in a dramatic fashion. They and Miles's parents were just bummed out that this was the first birthday I ever missed. As for why she is jealous, I have no idea. Neither of our parents ever wanted us to get together. There were no jokes or anything about it. I think they also never would want that. The wedding play picture is in the living room because they love the picture, and it was our first play. Update: I will update you in the first part and clarify some things later. After my post, I talked to Miles. At first, he was kind of mad and thought I had been blowing things out of proportion. Some more details are in my last post. We came to the conclusion of taking more distance while he figures that all out mainly because I did not want the added stress of petty drama. Then I talked to my parents and explained to them what was going on. They were really upset by how Lindy treated me. Obviously, they weren't going to get involved, but it was nice to get that off my chest. Nothing else happened until Tuesday evening. Wednesday was a holiday, so some of my friends took the opportunity to go to an Irish pub to do karaoke. At some point, my best friend and I went to the restroom to touch up our makeup. Then Lindy and some of her friends walked in and kind of cornered us. It wasn't pretty. They stared loudly, talking about man stealing and how some women were just born to be home wreckers. They imagined being pathetic enough to pretend to be a guy's friend and how pick-me girls are the worst. They kept edging us physically toward the hand dryers while pretending we were not there, until my best friend had enough and just pushed through them while pulling me behind her. We were almost at our table when Lindy went right behind me and pulled my hair, causing me to fall backward onto a metallic piece meant for resting your feet. It hurt so bad that I started to see white. Then a girl next to Lindy poured beer on me. I cannot really tell you what happened next, but there was a scuffle, and someone dropped one of those heavy pint glasses on my head. The Lindys were taken away by the police, and I was taken to the hospital. My parents were furious, as were Miles's parents. They both came to the hospital. I was severely concussed. My nose was fractured. And the worst part is that I have a hairline fracture in my back. I stayed in the hospital until yesterday morning. Miles did try calling me a bunch, but according to my parents, they told him not to visit me right now. I did get an official notice saying that apparently there is now a legal case open against Lindy and one other girl for not only assault, but also public disturbance in the bar, so now I'll have to deal with all that legally. I finally talked to Miles, and long story short, those of you saying Lindy isolating him was a sign of an abusive relationship were right. He told me all the things she said to make him feel awful. She would freak out about anything in her life and take that out on him. She would scratch him and bite him when she was mad. Our talk ended with both of us crying and apologizing. We will be closer again, at least we can talk about these things more often. He broke up with her and is hiding at my parents' house. So that is it for now. I'll update immediately and go into details later. There has been an official court date set for my process against Lindy. It took 2 months to get and is another 3 months out, but something is something. Our lawyer said that Lindy is probably not going to jail since she is a first-time offender. If she goes to jail, it would be no more than 3 months. Most likely she is going to have to pay a fee of 100 days of her income or something like that. I have let my father deal with this 100 because I have no head for it. There is a second lawsuit going on at the same time, as now I am legally chronically ill. The hairline fracture was not a passing thing, it developed. I am in pain daily. Not every day is bad, but not a day passes where I'm not in at least a 2 on the pain scale. As a result, I have not been able to work. Right now, my insurance pays 75 of my former income, and my workplace covers the rest, but I am probably going to get fired. So my insurance filed a claim against Lindy to pay my lost wages. I am currently not in contact with Miles. I tried to be supportive, but being disabled by his jealous ex-girlfriend made me bitter against him. He was a victim, but now I can't live my life. I am in therapy to work through all of that and have taken up some new hobbies. I have started to write more and am looking into courses or online classes. Miles's parents have been apologetic and have supported me a lot. His mother has been a saint. She volunteered to drive me everywhere, and I have actually become friends with her. We even went to see Deadpool and Wolverine. One of Lindy's friends reached out through my lawyer offering testimony against her own friend. She also sent a letter apologizing. To make it short, Lindy had told them I was bullying her and that Miles had once already cheated on her with me. So that's where we are right now. Take care and shield your back. New update. Hey everyone, so here we are again, and yeah, things have moved along, but honestly, I'm just tired. The first court date came and went. It was my insurance company versus Lindy, and surprise, surprise, she lost. She's on the hook for most of my lost wages, which is nice, I guess. I didn't have to be there the whole time, which I was grateful for because I've had enough of this mess. As for the criminal case, well, we don't even know if we'll end up going to court for that one. My lawyer is handling it, and I've handed the reins over to my dad because honestly I've had it. I'm no legal expert, and after that insurance loss, Lindy's in a bad spot. Her legal team is apparently scrambling to do some serious damage control, but at this point that's not my problem. More of Lindy's friends have crawled out of their hidey holes to give testimony. It turns out this wasn't her first rodeo. Another girl came forward with evidence of Lindy pulling similar stunts back in high school. This poor girl was just sitting next to Lindy's then boyfriend, being a normal human, and Lindy went off the rails, starting rumors and spreading literal breadcrumbs on her table to trigger her celiac disease. Yeah, she's that kind of psycho. No one could prove it at the time, but now with all these friends popping up, it's all coming to light. And believe me, these girls didn't have some moral epiphany. They're just terrified of getting fired or having anything negative pop up on their records. Miles and I have been texting occasionally, but I'm still giving him some distance. I don't want him to feel pressured to be there for me when he's still sorting through his own mess. I appreciate his effort, but I'm learning to not rely on anyone. It's my battle and I've got this. I'm getting used to my new normal, whatever that is. I've been spending more time with Miles's mom, and she's really helped take my mind off things. I even went to one of her book clubs, which I didn't expect to enjoy but actually did. It's great to be around people who aren't wrapped up in this drama. I'll keep you posted. Update: the past few months had been a whirlwind of emotions and experiences that I never could have anticipated. After the tumultuous events with Lindy, I found myself navigating a new, uncertain landscape, one that was filled with pain, recovery, and unexpected revelations. When I first returned home from the hospital, I felt like a ghost in my own life. The physical pain from my injuries was only a part of it, the emotional scars ran deeper. Every time I looked in the mirror, I was reminded of the chaos that had unfolded: my fractured nose, the lingering ache in my back, and the shadow of anxiety that loomed over me. I had always been a resilient person, but this felt like an entirely different battle. My parents were incredibly supportive. They hovered protectively, always asking if I needed anything or if I wanted to talk. I appreciated their concern, but at times it felt overwhelming. I needed space to process everything, to sort through my feelings without feeling like I was under a microscope. I started spending more time in my room, writing in a journal and pouring my thoughts onto the pages. It was therapeutic, a way for me to reclaim my narrative. Miles, on the other hand, was dealing with his own fallout. After breaking up with Lindy, he had become a shadow of himself. We communicated sporadically, but I could sense the weight of guilt he carried. He felt responsible for the chaos, believing he had failed to protect me from Lindy's wrath. It broke my heart to see him in pain, but I knew I had to focus on my healing first. I encouraged him to lean on his parents, who were equally concerned about him. It felt strange to have both of us lost in our own turmoil, yet still connected by our shared history. As the days turned into weeks, I began to adjust to my new normal. My daily routine consisted of physical therapy appointments and sessions with my therapist, who helped me unpack the trauma I had experienced. She encouraged me to express my feelings openly, whether it was anger toward Lindy, frustration with Miles, or sadness about the life I once had. I discovered that acknowledging my feelings was the first step toward healing. During this time, I also found solace in new hobbies. I had always enjoyed writing, but now it became an escape. I started a blog to share my experiences, both the struggles and triumphs, hoping to connect with others who might be facing similar challenges. To my surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Readers resonated with my story, and I found a community that offered support and understanding. It became a lifeline during my darkest moments. One sunny afternoon, as I sat outside with a notebook in hand, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Miles. "Can we talk?" it read. My heart raced. I had been waiting for this moment, but I also felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. I agreed to meet him at a cafe nearby. When I arrived, I found him sitting at a corner table, looking pensive. His eyes were heavy with the weight of what had transpired, and I could see the remnants of tears from the night before. As we sat across from each other, the conversation flowed awkwardly at first. We danced around our feelings, discussing Lindy and the fallout, but eventually it gave way to more honest dialogue. "I've been a mess," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I thought I was helping her, but I didn't see how toxic she was. I didn't protect you." I nodded, understanding his turmoil. "You weren't the only one deceived, Miles. I didn't see it either, but we have to focus on healing now." He looked relieved, and for the first time in weeks I felt a glimmer of hope. We talked about our plans moving forward, how to rebuild our friendship, and find a way back to the connection we once shared. It was a slow process, but both of us were committed. As the legal proceedings against Lindy unfolded, I found myself in the middle of a whirlwind of meetings and court dates. My lawyer was diligent, and we were gathering evidence against her. Surprisingly, more of her friends stepped forward willing to testify about her behavior. It became clear that Lindy had a pattern of manipulation and violence that extended beyond our situation. Each new revelation only strengthened my resolve to seek justice not just for myself, but for anyone else who might have fallen victim to her antics. The first court date for my case against Lindy came sooner than I expected. My stomach churned with anxiety as I prepared myself for the day. I wore a professional outfit, hoping to project strength even if I didn't feel it inside. My parents accompanied me, their presence grounding me in the chaos. As we entered the courtroom, I felt a wave of apprehension wash over me. Lindy sat across the room, a mere shadow of the confident persona she had once wielded. I could see the fear in her eyes as the evidence against her began to unfold. The testimonies from her friends revealed the extent of her manipulations, and for the first time I felt a sense of power. After several hours, the verdict came in. Lindy was ordered to pay for my medical expenses and lost wages. It wasn't a complete victory, but it felt like a step toward reclaiming my life. I left the courtroom feeling lighter, as if a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. In the aftermath of the court proceedings, I continued to focus on my recovery. I kept in touch with Miles, and our friendship blossomed anew. He was more attentive, eager to make amends and rebuild the trust that had been strained. We spent more time together, sharing meals and laughter, slowly mending the bond we had once taken for granted. As summer turned into fall, I felt a sense of renewal. My injuries were healing, and so was my spirit. I was starting to reclaim my life, exploring new opportunities and leaning into my passions. I enrolled in a writing course that reignited my love for storytelling and opened new doors for me. Through it all, I learned the importance of resilience and the value of true friendship. The journey hadn't been easy, but it had taught me invaluable lessons about strength, vulnerability, and the power of connection. While the scars of the past would always remain, I was finally ready to embrace the future, one filled with hope, laughter, and the promise of new beginnings. Final update. As the leaves turned golden and began to fall, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. The months since the court case had been transformative, not just in terms of healing from the trauma of my past, but also in how I approached life moving forward. With each passing day, I found myself growing stronger both physically and emotionally. My body was nearly fully healed, and the persistent aches that had plagued me were becoming distant memories. More importantly, the emotional wounds were closing as I embraced my new reality. I had channeled my experiences into writing, sharing my story through my blog and the writing course I had enrolled in. Each piece I published felt like a step forward, a way to reclaim my narrative while offering solace to others facing their own battles. Miles and I had grown closer, rebuilding our friendship on a foundation of honesty and understanding. We often spent weekends exploring the city, enjoying everything from quaint cafes to local art exhibits. There was a comfort in our companionship that I had missed, and we both knew how precious it was to have each other after everything we had endured. One crisp Saturday morning, as we sat on a park bench, surrounded by the vibrant hues of autumn, Miles turned to me with a serious expression. "I've been thinking a lot about what we went through," he began, hesitating for a moment. "I don't want to lose you again. You mean too much to me." My heart fluttered at his words. We had navigated the treacherous waters of our past, and the bond we shared had deepened in ways I hadn't expected. "I feel the same way," I replied, my voice steady. "I want to move forward together, but I think we should take it slow. We've both been through so much." He nodded, a small smile breaking through. "I agree. Let's just enjoy the moment and see where it takes us." And that was the beauty of our renewed relationship. We could take our time, nurturing the friendship that had become a lifeline for both of us. With the support of each other, we started to dream about the future, sharing hopes and aspirations that had been stifled by our past struggles. The new year approached, and I felt a surge of optimism. I had started submitting some of my writing for publication, and I was excited about the possibility of sharing my voice with a wider audience. Each rejection letter was a lesson, and every acceptance felt like a small victory, affirming my journey as a writer. With the arrival of winter, I decided to host a small gathering to celebrate my progress and the friendships that had carried me through. I invited my parents, Miles, and a few close friends from my writing course. As we gathered in my living room, the warmth of laughter and conversation filled the air. I looked around at the faces of the people I cared about most, and a sense of gratitude enveloped me. As the evening drew on, I stood up to make a toast. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Each of you has played a crucial role in my healing journey, and I wouldn't be where I am without your support. Here's to new beginnings, to resilience, and to the friendships that lift us up. Glasses clinked, and smiles spread across the room. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. The past was no longer a weight I carried. It had become a part of my story that I could share openly, a chapter that led me to this very moment. As the winter holidays approached, I felt a sense of hope and possibility. Miles and I decided to spend New Year's Eve together, and as the clock struck midnight, the following year held the promise of new adventures, and I was ready to embrace them all. I had learned that life, with the scars of the past still present but no longer defining me, I looked forward to what lay ahead, ready to write the next chapters of my life filled with resilience, love, and the unwavering belief in new beginnings.